Um, I want to give all honors and glories and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kodash, Yahweh, which is the one true name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his one true name is Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, meaning coming in the name, Ba means coming in, Ha means the, Sham means name, Rakah means spirit, Kodash means holy. Peace, blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom to you, sincere brothers that are scattered abroad, pushing forth this word in truth and sincerity. And shalom to you, sincere sisters that are listening in silence as the scriptures command you to do so. I am the brother Mashiach Razakah, and pretty much this lesson is going to be an update of America and Venezuela. Okay, the U.S. and Venezuela. Update of Trump's demand to Venezuela. Now, I was reading an article, which I'm going to reread it again, but it was talking about how Trump wants, I think it's China and Russia, to not get those same oil, what do you call it, those same oil trades, but only to the U.S. only. Okay, and due to Trump doing what he did, okay, now he has gained oil. Okay, he's demanding Venezuela to hand over the oil. Okay, and that's what Venezuela is doing. They're handing over the oil to Trump. So we're going to go into this, and this is leading here by him telling Venezuela not to do that oil trade or oil giving to Russia. I think it's Russia and China. I'm going to read it again if I might maybe be mistaken, but I believe it's Russia and China, not to do no oil trades with them, but only with the U.S. only. So that can lead to a war. You don't know what these other countries might do or how they might take offense to this situation here. So I'm going to read this article, and we're going to get some scriptures out, So hopefully, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. This year is turning up. We're barely in January, so-called January of Esau's so-called new year of 2026, and it's beginning to turn up, though, so far. Okay, we're barely 3 days after Esau's so-called New Year's, and there's already things turning up. So we're about to get into this right now, and hopefully, Lord willing, this is edifying. So this is the article that I'm talking about. It says, Trump demands Venezuela to kick out China and Russia, partner only with U.S. on oil. So you see that? That's pretty much what I was trying to say. So he wants Venezuela to kick out China and Russia from getting oil benefits. Or should I say, just roughly paraphrasing to make it simple. And he wants only the U.S. to only get that oil, not the other two countries. This can cause a war. It can lead to a war, right? It says Trump demands Venezuela to kick out China and Russia, partner only with U.S. on oil exclusive. And this is what Trump demanded, right? It says White House sets demand for Venezuela to pump more oil. So he wants Venezuela to only exclude oil to the U.S., not to China or Russia, right? But this can lead into a war here, though, because now you're messing with other people's resources. These other countries, that's affecting their resources. So this here can lead into an all full-out war. It says Trump declares we're in charge of Venezuela, issues threats to other countries. It says Trump has doubled down on his claim that the U.S. will run Venezuela. It comes as presidential issues new threats to multiple countries, including Colombia, Cuba, Mexico, Greenland. It says Juan Carlos Hernandez / Reuters. It says Trump administration has told Venezuela interim President Delec Rodriguez that the regime must meet the White House demands before being allowed to pump more oil, according to 3 people familiar with the administration plan. First, the country must kick out China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba and severe economic ties, meaning get rid of it. The only people that can get any type of exclusive oil pumpings or oil exchange is the U.S. That's what Trump wants, right? And it says, second, Venezuela must agree to partner exclusively with the U.S. on oil production and favor America when selling heavy crude oil. They added. So he wants all these other countries not to get no oil, but the U.S., right? It says, according to one person, Secretary of State Marco Rubio told lawmakers in a private briefing on Monday that he believes the U.S. can force Venezuela's hand because its existing oil tankers are full. Rubio also told lawmakers that the U.S. estimates that Carcasses has only a couple of weeks before it will become financially insolvent without the sale of its oil reserves. Slovakia. It says, in an exclusive interview with ABC News, Senate Armed Services Committee Chairman Roger Wicker confirmed that the U.S. plan hangs upon controlling Venezuela's oil. It says he said he did not believe it will require the deployment of U.S. troops. It says the Genia flagged oil tanker of MT Bandra, which is under sections, is particularly seen along another vessel of El Palito terminal near Puerto Rico, Cambelo, Venezuela. And it says the government does intend to control the oil, taking charge of the ships, the tankers, and none of them are going to go to Havana. Wicker said, and until they start moving, we hope to open markets. There are no more tankers to fill because they're totally full. The White House did not dispute the reporting. The president is speaking about extorting maximum leverage with the remaining elements in Venezuela and ensuring they cooperate with the United States by halting illegal immigration, stopping drug flows, revitalizing oil infrastructure, and doing what is right for the Venezuelan people, according to the senior administration official. The State Department did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Wicker told ABC News that Venezuela does not have any more tankers available to move additional oil. The information I have is that Venezuela cannot pump any more crude oil because there's no place to put it and there's no place to send it. The tankers are full and waiting to move to an appropriate place, hopefully to be sold with open market other than to be given free to China, Wicker said. Trump posted Tuesday evening that the interim authorities in Venezuela would turn over between 30 million to 50 million barrels of oil to the U.S. to be sold at market price. It says Trump said those funds would be controlled by him to ensure it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States. It says Wicker said that the administration's plan does not appear to involve U.S. troops. This is not a matter of boots on the ground. This is just not part of the plan, he added. Last month, Trump wrote an online post that he had ordered a total and complete blockade of all section oil tankers going into and out of Venezuela. We asked by reporters the following day what that meant. It says Trump said it's just a blockade, not going to let anybody going through that shouldn't be going through. So there you go. That's pretty much what's going on right now with the update of Trump and Venezuela. So Trump, he demands Venezuela to kick out China and Russia and to only partner with the U.S. on oil exclusive. So that's pretty much what it's going into for the update. So we got control over the oil, right? Venezuela is willing to hand over the oil, but he doesn't want China or Russia getting any parts in receiving oil. Only the U.S. So we're headed into some times because now by Trump making that demand, that's affecting other countries' resources. Just think about it, man. If we just said, for example, if you had oil, right? and you was a man that had oil, and you're giving oil to this country, I'll just say China, Russia, right? And U.S. comes and bombs where your product is and demands you to give it only to them and not the other two. And the other two needs those resources as well. What do you think those other two countries are going to do about those resources? That's going to get people upset, because now that's fucking with their resources. How are they going to be able to produce and make a living or a decent amount of oil? Oil is very valuable. So now that's excuse my French, that's fucking with other people's resources, right? Of living, right? So that makes it difficult for other countries. So now what do you think that's going to do? That's going to upset those other countries. This is 2 Timothy 3:1. It says, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And that's the time that we're coming into, perilous times. And for those of you that are new, perilous, it says full of danger or risks. So we're headed into dangerous times. It says an imminent risk of disaster or ruin. The economy is in a perilous state, and that's what we're coming into, because it's going to affect other countries. That's going to cause wars, and in those countries, you don't know what those countries are going to do. Those countries can come up and attack against America behind that, right? It says 1 Corinthians 15:24. Then cometh the end. The end of what? The end of Esau's rulership. Because we're in the last days, okay? It's been prophesied of the last days since the time of Israel, okay? Who is Jacob in Genesis 49. He mentioned about the last days. He prophesied the prophecy of the last days to his sons when he was on his deathbed. He told each of his sons of their nation of what will happen in those last days. Okay, and we literally been in the last days since the Messiah first stepped foot on the scene. When you go to Hebrews chapter 1 and you read verse 2, right? You read verse 2, right? It talks about the last days, and we've been in the last days. So the end, right, is the end of Esau's rulership, right? It's coming to an end. And when these wars take place, you're going to have these other countries that's going to betray America. America's allies are going to betray her. It's written out and it's prophesied it. Okay, and that's going to be a full-out war. And one of their main enemies is going to be Russia, because that's prophesied in Jeremiah 50:3, which I'm gonna get out in a little bit, right? Because Russia is not far from America. We're right across the ocean from them, and they can send a bomb and they can hit over here, right? It says, then cometh the end. It says, when he shall have delivered up the kingdom of the Most High, even the Father, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and power. And that's talking about Esau's power structure being brought down. All right, Esau's rulership being brought down, because it's coming down. All right, Esau, is his kingdom is coming to an end. But before his kingdom can fully come to an end, prophecies have to be fulfilled. As you can see right now, you got a lot of rumors of wars that's increasing, that's taking place. Okay, this is the fulfillment of prophecy which the Lord Yahweh has written out to happen. Because Esau, he's doing his part too. He has a lot that he has to play out. And his lot is to do the will of the Heavenly Father on the left-hand side. That's why he's the wicked. Esau is the wicked, right? He's doing the will of the Lord. He's doing what the Lord already written him out to do. Esau don't know what he's doing. He's a control robot being used by the Heavenly Father to fulfill prophecy. Okay? He's doing the will of the Heavenly Father. This is all prophecy that's being fulfilled. Okay? But his power structure will be brought down. Right? This is Jeremiah 50:3. It says, for out of the north, right? For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her. And this is talking about Russia. Okay? That's the country that comes out from the north. All right? From out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which that's talking about Russia. Okay? Russia is the country that's out of the north. And it says, which shall make her land desolate. And how her land's going to be desolate. How America's land going to be desolate. Thermonuclear destruction. Right? That's how the land is going to be desolate. Right? thermonuclear destruction. Fire is a cleaning agent, right? And it says, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. And the both man and beast, that's talking about America's allies. Their allies is going to turn against her. Okay? America got allies, but those allies are going to turn against her. All of these nations want to rule. All of these nations want to rule. They, even though they all had their time and periods and dynasties when they ruled, they still want to rule to this very day. You got Esau still trying to rule. He believes after World War III he's going to rule, but he's not. All right, the Lord Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, he's going to come back and he's going to set his kingdom on the earth. That's on the scriptures. That's in the scriptures. The kingdom of heaven is going to be established on the earth. That's literally in the scriptures, right? But you have all of these nations all trying to rule. And it's coming into a time of fear, right? Of ruin, right? This is Revelation 11 and 14. It says the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And the second woe, that's talking about World War II. World War II happened already, right? It says, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly, which is World War III. World War III hasn't came yet, but it's a prophecy that's due to come to pass. It's a prophecy which will, or should I say, shall come to pass, right? World War III is coming, and that's what it's leading into. These are rumors of wars, right? But it's going to lead to a physical war, which is going to take place in the land of Yahushua, which is, right, they call it Judgment Day, right, which will be the land of Jehoshaphat, right? That's going to take place in the region of the Middle East. That's where World War III going to take place, right? It says, Matthew 24:6, it says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. You got Trump that pulled that shit with Venezuela, right? He bombed him. He took captive their president, Marudo, right? He got him captive right now in prison, right? And he's forcing Venezuela to hand over the oil, which they're going to do. But now he wants them to cut off ties with China and Russia of getting those oil exchanges on the market. He wants them only to do it for America, not with China and Russia. And that's stirring up wars right there. It says, see that ye be not troubled, right? So even though these things are coming to pass, we can't be troubled by this. It has to come to pass. It says, for all of these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. The end is not yet. The end of the world is not yet. The end is not yet. The end of the world is the end of Esau's rulership, the end of this empire, right? Which is the modern day Roman Empire, right? The revival of the Roman Empire, which is the divided kingdoms, the iron and clay. This is the modern day Roman Empire, modern day Rome, modern day Egypt, all right? There was an ancient Roman Empire, but it fell, right? Ancient Rome fell, but it was rebuilt here again in this place called America, which is Babylon the Great. So the end of the world is the end of Esau's rulership and his power structure, right? Which is going to come soon, not now, because prophecy still got to be fulfilled. There's a gang of prophecies that still ain't been fulfilled yet in the scriptures. So in order for Esau's rulership to fully be taken down and destroyed, you got prophecies that still got to take place. These are still rumors of war, though, leading to World War III, right? Psalms 2 and 1, it says, why do the heathen rage? Right? And it says, and the people imagine a vain thing. And that vain thing is rulership, right? The heathen rage because all the nations are trying to rule. Every single one of these nations are trying to rule. You got North Korea, they trying to rule. You got Russia, they trying to rule, right? You got China, they want to rule. You got Japan, they want to rule. All of these countries want to rule. America wants to stay on top. All these countries are trying to rule. Even though they all had their time and periods and dynasties when they ruled, they still trying to rule. They still want to rule. But none of them is going to rule after World War III. It's going to be the Lord Yahushua reigning on the earth, right? Which you can read that in Revelation chapter 5 and 10. It says, we shall reign on the earth, right? It talks about it in, what's that precept? 1 Peter 3 and, I think it's 3 and, let me get that real quick. I think it's 1 Peter, it's 3 and 13, I believe. Is it 1 Peter? Let me see, bear with me. 1 Peter. So like here it is. We'll start at verse 12. 2 Peter 3 and 12. It says, looking for and hasting onto the coming of the day of the Most High. You see that? Wherein the heavens begin. It says, the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. That fervent heat is talking about thermonuclear destruction. That's that fervent heat, which is leading into that World War III, right? That fervent heat, right? And it says, verse 13, nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for the new heavens and the new earth. Which you go to Revelation 21, it talks about the new heaven and the new earth. The first heaven and the first earth pass away. In Revelation 21, that's talking about this place called America. That's that first heaven and first earth that passes away. But that new heaven and that new earth, that's a new rulership, which is coming, which is going to be of Yahushua, okay, and the elect, right? And it says, wherein dwelleth righteousness, because this place right now that we're in dwelleth of wickedness. It doesn't dwell of righteousness, right? But when the Lord Yahushua comes back and destroy Esau's rulership, and his rulership is going to be destroyed with thermonuclear fire. That's how it's going to be destroyed. Yahushua is going to come on the earth, and the earth, Yahushua is going to reign on the earth, and that's going to be a for everlasting kingdom, an everlasting salvation, an everlasting kingdom, which is prophesied in Daniel 7, right? When you read in Daniel 7 and you go below, I think it's the 14th or the 15th verse, it talks about Yahushua reigning on the earth, the forever Prince Melchizedek, right? Psalms 110, verse 1 through 7, right? It talks about that. But getting back to this, that's what's coming, okay? So the heathen rage, let's get back to it. Psalms 2 and 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? All these nations want to rule. All these nations want to rule. They're all fighting over an empire of who wants to rule, right? And what Trump is doing is leading into that World War III to occur. Even though it's a rumor of war, right? It still could lead to World War III. Because now he's messing with other people's resources. He's messing with other countries' resources. They need these resources, right? So, hey, Lord willing, this was edifying, man. So, hey, Trump demands Venezuela to kick out China and Russia and partner only with the U.S. on soil exclusive. So there you go, man. On oil exclusive. So there you go, man. So this right here can lead into World War III. You know, so hey, hopefully this is edifying. I want to give all honors and glories and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahshai, Bahashem Kodash. Peace, blessings, salutations, soul for the elect, and shalom to you, sincere brothers that are scattered abroad, pushing forth this word in truth and sincerity. I am the brother Mashiach Razakah, and Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. On to the next one. Shalom.